Hello everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we're going to dive into a beautiful and emotional story where Jack, a usually stoic CEO, skips work, hires a full construction crew, and literally tears up his entire farm just to rebuild the yard as a silent love letter for Tu Tien. How far can one man go just so the woman he loves never has to step in mud again? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Dawn is barely awake when the first pale gold light spills over the farm. Jack steps into the yard without a sound, sandals sinking into the mud. In his hand, a tape measure snaps open and shut as if it's counting his heartbeat. He walks slowly across the yard, counting each step, marking numbers in his head. Every footprint presses deep into the wet soil like a quiet promise. I have to redo this whole garden for Tu Tien. He doesn't say it out loud, but the decision is already made. From the small kitchen, a thin column of steam curls into the chilly morning air. Inside, Tu Tien stands at the stove in a simple apron, hair tied back, cheeks flushed from the heat. "Honey, come eat," she calls out, voice gentle. "The porridge is getting cold." Jack turns at the sound. In that moment, something fierce and tender flashes in his eyes. This woman, in this little kitchen, making him a simple bowl of porridge, he suddenly feels more determined than ever. He snaps the tape measure closed and strides into the house. They sit at the rough wooden table, two bowls of steaming perilla porridge between them. Tu Tien adds a bit of pepper to his bowl, pushes it toward him. "Eat while it's hot," she says. "You were out there so early again. The ground is still wet. You'll catch a cold." Jack wraps his hands around the bowl, feeling the heat. He doesn't pick up the spoon yet. Instead, he takes a breath and says, like he's announcing a big company decision, "I'm not going to the company today." Tu Tien pauses, spoon halfway to her mouth. "You're not going?" she repeats, surprised. Jack almost never skips work. He shakes his head. "I've already called the excavator team and the crew. They're on their way." He looks straight into her eyes. "I'm fixing the entire yard for you. I'll redo everything. When the rainy season comes again, you won't slip, you won't be covered in mud. You'll be able to walk out in any weather without worrying." For a second, she just stares at him, spoon frozen above the bowl. Surprise flickers across her face, then slowly melts into a smile so soft it makes his chest ache. "You're serious?" she asks quietly. "I'm completely serious," he replies. "You've struggled with this muddy yard for too long. I should have done this a long time ago." Tu Tien looks down at her porridge, then back up at him, eyes gentle. "Do whatever you think is right," she says. "I trust you." The sentence is light, almost casual, but to Jack it lands heavier than the roar of any machine. The spoons finally begin to clink against the bowls. Jack eats, but his mind is already outside. Lines, measurements, the design he stayed up all night sketching. Every time he glances at Tu Tien, he imagines her walking barefoot on clean stone, sitting in the shade with a cup of tea, smiling in a yard that finally belongs completely to her. Breakfast ends. Tu Tien ties her old conical hat under her chin and grabs a bamboo basket. "I'll go pick corn before the sun gets too hot," she says. You don't overdo it." Jack stands, takes the basket from her, then hands it back with a grin. "I'll be fine. Just wait and see. Today is for you." She steps out, her slender figure slipping between rows of corn just beyond the house. In a few moments, her silhouette fades behind the tall stalks. Jack stands on the porch and watches her disappear, fingers unconsciously tightening around the phone in his hand. From far off, he hears it, that low, distant growl of diesel engines. The sound grows louder, rolling over the fields like thunder. The excavators are coming. Jack takes a deep breath. The smell of wet earth fills his lungs. It smells like work, like change, like a new beginning. Like the kind of love that makes a man decide to tear up his whole yard just so one woman can walk comfortably through the rain. For the first time in his life, he isn't mobilizing a crew for profit, or for a big niche project, or for some investor's deadline. He's mobilizing them for one simple reason: to make this place softer, safer, and more beautiful for the woman he loves most. Out in the cornfield, Tu Tien walks between stalks taller than her head. Sunlight slips through the leaves, dancing across her face. She reaches up, gently twisting a plump ear of corn free from its stem. "So beautiful," she murmurs, turning it in her hands. "We'll keep the best ones for seeds next season." She drops the ear into the basket and smiles quietly, alone in the field. Far away, she can hear engines and metal, a harsh rhythm over the soft rustle of leaves. A few hundred meters away, the farm gate shudders as the first giant machine rolls in. Excavators rumble onto the property, metal arms swinging, dust rising in thick clouds. The peaceful yard transforms in minutes into a construction site. Jack stands under the strengthening sun, shirt already damp with sweat. In one hand, he grips the rolled-up blueprint he drew at 2 in the morning. He unrolls it on the hood of a truck, pointing and explaining. "We follow this design exactly," he tells the foreman. "Drainage lines here, the stone path here, the pavilion in this corner, the grass in front, no shortcuts." The crew, men who have followed him through countless projects, nod with respect. This isn't the cool, distant CEO from the office today. This is a man whose eyes burn with something more personal than money or contracts. Corn leaves from the nearby field whirl past in the wind, brushing against Jack's face as the machines roar to life. On one side, a wife quietly harvesting the future, saving seeds, thinking about next season. On the other, a husband quietly building it, shaping earth and stone into a promise she hasn't even fully seen yet. The rhythmic bite of shovels into soil soon echoes across the yard. Workers shout to each other over the noise. The lush vegetable garden that Tu Tien nurtured for months begins to disappear in a matter of hours. Fresh green rows are overturned. Onion bulbs roll helplessly under the blazing sky, pulled from the beds she once knelt in every morning. Jack watches, jaw tight, reminding himself of the bigger picture, a yard where she'll never have to wipe mud off her shoes again. Jack watches, jaw tight, reminding himself of the bigger picture, a yard where she'll never have to wipe mud off her shoes again. By late morning, chaos fills the farm. Excavator arms swing, digging deep. Trucks beep as they reverse, dumping dirt. Men shout over the roar, shovels tearing through what used to be neat rows of lettuce, herbs and onions. On the far side of the land, Tu Tien adjusts the basket on her shoulder and heads back. The corn is piled high, golden and heavy. She hums softly, picturing sweet corn porridge tonight, maybe frying some with butter for Jack after his long day. Then she reaches the gate. She stops. The yard is unrecognizable. The beds she knelt in every morning have become a churned-up field of tracks and mounds. Onion bulbs lie exposed, rolling in the dust. Engines roar, men call out directions. For a heartbeat, something tightens in her chest. Months of waking early, watering, weeding under the sun, wiped out in a few hours. Her fingers grip the edge of the basket. A quiet sadness flickers in her eyes. Then she sees him. Jack stands in the middle of it all, shirt off, dust and sweat streaking his back as he waves the crew into position. He looks nothing like a CEO now. He looks like a man throwing everything he has into one stubborn act of love. As if feeling her stare, Jack turns. Their eyes meet through the dust and noise. The basket on her shoulder suddenly feels lighter. The tightness eases. "It's okay," she calls over the machines, voice steady. "As long as you make it more beautiful." Jack freezes for half a second. Then a relieved smile breaks over his face. She understands. Tu Tien sets the basket down and walks across the torn-up ground. There is no path, just fresh soil and scattered stones, but she steps carefully, lifting her skirt so it doesn't drag. When she reaches him, she doesn't talk about the destroyed garden. She just rests her palm on his sweat-soaked shoulder. For an instant, the world seems to hush. No excavators, no shouting, just the two of them in the middle of a yard being destroyed and rebuilt at the same time. Jack covers her hand with his. "Trust me," he says quietly. "When it's done, this yard won't scare you every time it rains." She nods, eyes soft. "I already trust you," she replies. "Just remember to drink water. You're red like a boiled shrimp." He laughs, the tension melting from his face. "Yes, ma'am." The sun climbs higher, turning harsh and white. Jack's shirt is forgotten. His skin darkens under dust as he races back and forth, checking slopes, pointing out where the drainage pipes go, stamping down soft patches of soil. "More dirt here," he shouts. "Raise it or the water will pool." A truck rattles closer. Jack waves to another group. "Bring those white pebbles over. This is the walkway. Make it flat and even, no sharp edges." He pauses, then yells even louder, grin tugging at his lips. "Make it perfect for my girlfriend. She'll be my wife, so the rain never dirties her feet again." The workers burst out laughing. "Boss is romantic today." "We're building a princess yard." Dusty faces light up, but hands move faster. It's no longer just a site. It's a love story they're helping build. Near the house, the cooking fire crackles. Tu Tien stands by a big pot, bone and taro soup bubbling. She tastes, adjusts, then turns to stir-fried greens in a pan. A pot of braised meat simmers beside rice, steaming in a huge pot, enough for nearly 10 hungry men. Her hands move quickly, but her eyes keep drifting to the yard where Jack still runs around, forgetting everything except the work. Sweat rolls down her temple, dripping onto the cutting board, mixing with fish sauce and chopped herbs. She doesn't stop. If his way of saying "I love you" is tearing up Earth and rebuilding it, then hers is making sure no one leaves her kitchen hungry. The smell of food drifts over the site, blending with the scent of fresh soil. Workers glance toward the house, grinning. "Boss's wife is spoiling us," someone calls. By late afternoon, the sun softens to gold. One by one, the machines go quiet. Men rinse their mud-streaked legs and feet at the tap, laughing as the cold water hits. Inside, a bamboo mat is spread across the cool floor. Bowls, chopsticks, and dishes cover it. Soup, meat, greens, rice, pickles. The crew files in, a little shy, not used to eating at the CEO's home. Jack waves them down. "Sit, today you're all guests." They laugh, but the hunger in their eyes is clear. When everyone settles, Jack takes his place at the head of the mat. His face is rinsed, hair pushed back, but faint dust still marks his arms. "Eat," he says. "You worked hard today." They don't wait. Chopsticks fly, bowls fill, soup is ladled. The room fills with the sound of eating and low chatter. "This soup is amazing," one worker mutters. "If we eat like this every day," another jokes, "we'll never leave." Jack nods toward the doorway as Tu Tien appears with the last tureen. "Thank her," he says. "She cooked everything." The men turn, calling out thanks. She smiles, sets the pot down, then sits quietly beside Jack. For a while, it's just food and laughter, light teasing. The tense morning has turned into easy warmth. Then Jack clears his throat. "Tomorrow," he says, voice steady, "we'll be finished." Chopsticks slow. "By this time tomorrow," he continues, "the yard will be leveled, paved, ready for grass. It'll be the biggest surprise I've ever given Tu Tien." His words linger in the warm room. Standing at the edge of the mat, bowl in hand, Tu Tien hears every word. She lowers her head slightly so her hair hides her face, but the shine in her eyes betrays her. She blinks, swallowing the emotion rising in her chest. One of the workers grins. "We'll make it perfect, boss, so when she sees it, she cries happy tears only." Laughter ripples around them. Outside, twilight settles over the farm. Down below the stilt house, the freshly leveled ground lies quiet, cooling after the heat of the day. It waits for soft green grass to cover its raw surface, for stepping stones and a small pavilion to rise from Jack's plan, for bare feet to walk across it without fear, feet that once slipped and slid in the rain. And beneath the new layers of soil, a promise is already rooted there, a vow stamped into earth and sweat, written not in big speeches, but in the everyday love Jack intends to give Tu Tien for the rest of their lives. In this episode, dawn breaks over the farm as Jack quietly measures the muddy yard, determined to rebuild it as a surprise for Tu Tien. Instead of going to the company, he calls in excavators and a full crew, deciding to redesign the entire garden so she'll never slip in the rain again. While Tu Tien peacefully harvests corn, unaware of the scale of his plan, machines roar in and tear up her beloved vegetable beds. She's briefly shocked, but when she sees Jack working shirtless in the dust, she chooses to trust him completely. All day he runs around the site, shouting orders, turning his CEO power into a wordless love confession. Tu Tien answers in her own way, cooking a huge meal for Jack and the workers as the newly leveled yard quietly waits for fresh grass and a future promise.